The life as a circus freak is tough enough, but can you imagine their life during World War II? Now imagine them being hunted by the Nazis, while also having supernatural powers to a certain degree. The Italian-Belgium co-production Freaks Out tries to draw a picture of how that might have worked out. So if you'd like to know more about that, then join me for this short review video. For people who have worked as circus freaks, for their director Israel, who as a person of Jewish heritage is now on the run from the Nazis, had to close down his traveling attraction, are now forced to decide if they are joining him and flee the country, or if they join the Berlin circus, run by Franz, who is always looking for new freaks to add to his ensemble. First off, we have Matilde, who is able to channel electricity and shocks people with it. Yet as a downside, she cannot stop that from happening, so everyone who's touching her is also getting shocked. While she sees a father figure in Israel and would follow him everywhere, the rest of the troupe is more open to other options. The other three being Cencio, an albino boy who is able to control insects with his mind, Mario, a dwarf who is able to manipulate iron and metal in general, and of course Fulvio, to whom the other two look up as a leader, not just because of his size, because he is a very large and super strong being who is covered with hair from head to toe. He would also be the one who would have had the least issues with just joining the Nazi circus, as long as it is a paid gig. However, as they are getting divided from Israel, the group of four has to decide if they now leave the country alone or look for their former director. Deciding to go after him, they are having some extraordinary adventures along the way, and some less pleasant encounters of the Nazi kind. This movie had a really interesting concept, and going into it, I was expecting some kind of a superhero story. Yet this was really pretty much on the lower end of what the movie was interested in. And there is the rub, because I don't really know what the movie was interested in. The few effects we had were well done, the acting was also mostly solid, with some small glitches here and there, yet somehow the story never really drew me in as it should have. I don't really know what's the reason for that. But since I experienced the movie as a quite unbalanced thing that didn't really know where it wanted to go, at least for me it just didn't work. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad movie. Maybe it was the fact that the group never really stood that close together and some of them almost seemed like Nazi collaborators, or at least were open to it. While on the other hand, the Nazis again were portrayed as one-dimensional as ever, with Franz being a freak in his own right, because he also has some special abilities, which makes him an outsider in his own family, and he is only tolerated because he is the brother of a high-ranking officer. That's the reason why he is allowed to run a circus, and he is only running the circus to find some special talents that he can present to the Führer. That is his only wish, to basically create an army of super soldiers for Hitler, where along the way he basically is killing everyone who is not meeting his standards. Which was stupid, because everyone who was coming to the circus would have known or should have known that a lot of people came in, but only those who stayed were getting out. And also there seems to be no real criteria of why he was keeping some of them and killing the rest. Because those we see outside are also nothing special, so they obviously didn't put much thought into that plotline. Maybe it was because there was not much superhero stuff going on. On the other hand, I'm not sure if that movie was even promoted as being a superhero movie, so just because I was expecting that should not be a disqualifier for me to like it, and also not an explanation for me to bash it. But let's just put it like this. With the lead character being Matilde, you have a character that you can relate to, but she is basically the only one. All the other characters in the movie are forgettable and you don't care much about them. Not even the other three main characters that are having a lot of screen time as well. And Franz, the Nazi, is such a caricature that you cannot really take him seriously. Which gives the movie that I think is at least a little bit meant as a satire, while also meant to be taken seriously, a bit of flavor that forbids you to actually do so, because he was so over the top that it made the whole movie feel like a cheap pun, if that makes any sense. And maybe I'm just fed up with seeing Nazis as a joke when they were far from laughable, when they were one of the biggest threats the world have ever seen. And I'm saying that as a German. This just means to downplay it and to trivialize what they did during World War II. maybe that's just me. In any case, with that being said, let's get into the rating. But before we do so, let me ask you to like and share this video if you enjoyed it so far. And if you're no subscriber yet, maybe consider to change that. By also hitting the notification bell, you will get a heads up for most of my new videos. Now for the rating. As you just heard, the movie never really landed well with me. It is tough to explain why. I guess it is just, like I said, the trivialization of World War II being reduced to a laughingstock as a backdrop of a mediocre superhero story, which likely wasn't even meant to be a superhero story, at least not for most of the characters, except for Matilde. It feels like a wasted opportunity that had the potential to be something special, yet ended to be just mediocre, which sometimes is worse than being straight out bad. From what I heard around the movie theater from other audience members, they seem to have received the movie a little bit better than I did. So when I'm scoring it now with 5 out of 10, making it an average movie, nothing more but also nothing less, people might challenge that and say that I am rating it too low. But that is always true with movie reviews. So if the topic of Nazis and World War II is still something you can enjoy in the context that I have laid out in this review, then this movie might be for you, and then you might even enjoy it quite a lot. However, I can only speak for myself, and for me this movie was not really doing it. What about you? How do you perceive Nazis in movies? Do you think they are oversimplified? Do you think they are too much trivialized lately so that you cannot even take them serious anymore? Which you should, because they were posing one of the greatest threats in history, and if we watch the world today, might become that again, here or in other countries. So whatever you think about that, just let me know in the comments. So much for now, see you next time, and thanks for watching.